What's up, Epic 7? I know. It's long past Mola Monday, and we are way overdue for this week's Hall of Trials video. But there's a problem. The developers finally did it. They made a Hall of Trials that I don't think it's possible to get dagger sicar. Not reasonably, anyway. I'll show you the team that I've got worked out now, and I'll talk you through some of the issues with this week. This week we're fighting Archdemon Mercedes. You need 9 million points to get dagger sicar. Now, if we take a look at the current rankings, the top score is 7.7 million, a full 1.3 million shy of the dagger sicar threshold. It's not looking really good here, guys. The problem is that dual attacks cannot be triggered. And anytime the developers do this, they better give us some serious extra edge, like heroes will get an extra attack when certain conditions exist. But they've taken that away. Also, you can't have a ranger hero on the team or nobody really is going to do any kind of damage. And that can be a problem because ranger heroes are loaded with skills that can target DPS artifacts like Song of Stars, but they're all right out. Now, they did give us some advantages. If buff block is on the enemy, you do 50% more damage, and when a light elemental hero attacks on their turn, you do an extra 40%, but only during the exhaustion phase. So they clearly want us to use light elemental heroes, but the big damage units aren't light elemental heroes. Now, since we can't do dual attacks, the thing we need to do is attacks that give extra hits, extra attacks. Sirmia's S1 when her EE procs, Landy's S2 or Landy's passive from Salvo going off, Solitaria's S1 going into an S2, even Silverblade Araminta's extra splash damage, Kane doing an extra hit when his skill goes off. These are going to be key to racking up a really high score, and I'm pretty sure that's how we saw some of those 7 million scores, but there's just not enough meat on the table to quite get to 9 million. I think if we had something where this 40% damage boost could be applied to other units, then we might be in good shape. But only to light heroes, Solitaria's damage isn't quite there. I built her on the strongest rage set I had. She still didn't do as much damage as a single hit from Sirmia. I tried it on Silverblade Araminta, where her S1 splashes into her S2. It was even less damage. Landy does really good damage, and she's about it. And of course, needing buff block, Auden is a must for this. But it still was just too difficult to get anywhere close. My highest score in experimenting with it all day was 7.5 million. It wasn't worth finishing the fight off and recording because it was still 1.5 million points shy of getting the threshold we needed for dagger sicar. So for now, I'll bring you a SSS Plus Full Auto team that seems pretty stable. We're going to use Auden as our buff block applier, I guess I should say. I just built Auden on her standard DPS build. I really didn't change anything on her from normal RTA usage. Go ahead and put her on her own artifact because Mercedes is a dark enemy, so you get all of the benefits of this artifact proccing off. Next, I'm going to use Landy. If you don't have Landy, you could run Solitaria, Silverblade Araminta, any unit that can get an extra hit off. You could maybe even run Specimen Says, just because he hits so darn hard. But Landy is really good for the extra damage and her ability to survive since she self-heals. This is just a normal Landy build. I'm going to go ahead and give her attack back so she can hit a little bit harder here. I have her on Elbrus just because I'm too lazy to change her artifact. You could probably put her on a Pen or Torrent set instead of Immunity. You could probably put her on a DPS artifact and maybe get a little more out of her, but I was just too lazy to change a unit that I'm using in Ancient Inheritance currently as is. Sirmia, put her on a Rage Pen set. This is by far and away not my best Rage Pen set. I know you guys have seen a whole lot better builds on Sirmia, but I tried to keep it somewhat relatable instead of going like Giga Nuclear on her damage. Make sure she's on the #1 EE for the chance for extra slaps. You can put her on any good DPS artifact. I went with Our Beautiful Seasons for 20% extra damage. And Kayn. Okay, so Kayn on a relatively crummy rage set. Basically, this is my, my Rift Kayn. I put him on Cruel Mischief. You could put this, you could swap this artifact with Sirmia's artifact as well. There is a world where you could also put Sirmia on Benimaru's Tachi and just turn her skills off. And just let that be her attack buff, but let's just try this and see what happens. Okay, so Odd's going to drop her S3, give a nice big gold shield everybody, do significant damage to Mercedes. Landy will pop off, do a little bit of damage. We got the salvo. And now we're into the break phase. Kayn's going to use his S3. This will give him a greater attack buff. If you really want to min-max it here, you can pause and use Sirmia's S2 so she's got Gab right out of the gate, and then turn her skills off. Auden applies the buff block, and now we can start doing some serious damage because the buff block is our condition for extra damage. Sirmia wastes the turn applying Gab, and kind of wastes the turn with her S3 because it does not do nearly as much damage in the break phase as her other skills do. But this lets us exit the break phase at 1.79 million. Nice hit on Auden. Great evasion, girl. No bleeds from Kayn. There we go. Can we stun those ads in the front? That would sure be nice. Now we stunned one of them. Buff block reapplied. Sirmia hits. And we're into break phase number 2 with the salvo. One hit. Do we get a salvo? We don't. Oh, this is unfortunate. Auden really should have been putting a buff block up, so we're going to be a little bit behind on damage. We did get the extra swat in from Sirmia. That's nice. We're doing so little damage because of the lack of buff block. And we get 15%ed. So this is a pretty disastrous run here, right? We barely got 4 million. We never had buff block. All the timing was terribly off. Auden keeps getting hit. But I just wanted to show you that this is a stable team, so I'm going to let this one run all the way through. You see, you do so much damage, even though you don't have a Soul Weaver on the team, you'll be able to power through and crush this pretty quickly. If at any point in time in this fight you're struggling even just a little bit, turn auto off during the break phase and control your Sirmia. Use your S1s when it's appropriate. Make sure Auden S1s at the beginning of the fight so you get the buff block early on. But even with all of the worst luck possible, we full clear at 4.3 million. That means we will end this with 5.3 million, which is well inside the 4.5 million triple S plus mode. So if you've got these units, it should make a very easy triple S plus full clear. If you're missing any of these units, other than Auden, of course, if you're missing any of these units, replace it with Solitary the So. Specimen says, heck, Silverblade Aramentha. Any DPS unit you can think of that hits and then has an extra attack proc. Man, even Alencia. There are lots of options here that should be able to rack you up some points. Hopefully this helps you get your triple S plus out of the way. If I think of something for Dagger Sicar, I will let you guys know. I will keep plugging away at it. Remember that this is the last weekend of the month, and last week of the month guarantees free unequip, so starting after maintenance this Thursday morning, we should all have free unequip through the rest of the weekend. So I know this one might require you to move some gear around. Just wait until the next weekend, move the gear around, build one of these teams, and go ahead and knock out your SSS Plus on full auto. And if you need Dagger Sicar for Archdemon Mercedes, you're just going to have to wait about a month, I'm afraid. But hopefully the next time will be easier. If you guys have some ideas you want me to try out for Dagger Sicar on this, I am all ears. Put them in the comment section. I would love to hear from you and try out your ideas. Until I figure something else out, that's all I got for today. Have a great one, Epic 7.